Everybody, this is Miss Liz with another video for you to celebrate African American History Month or Black History Month. Today we're going to talk about Gladys West and the GPS. So first, who is Gladys West? She was born in 1930 and raised in Virginia on a farm. She was a mathematician whose accurate models of the Earth helped create GPS. And she was the second African-American woman ever to be employed by the Naval Surface Warfare Center. She was also inducted into the United States Air Force Hall of Fame, which is one of the highest honors awarded by the Air Force. And now you might be asking, what is GPS? Something we use a lot, whether you know it or not. So it stands for Global Positioning System, and it uses signals from satellites that are orbiting the Earth to pin down a location with accuracy. And the very first GPS system went live in 1964 with 5 satellites and was created by the US Navy. And we use GPS all the time now on our phones and other devices to help us navigate. So if we want to get from our homes to our friend's home, you know, we use Google Maps or some other kind of map system. Or if we're looking up something and we're out at a store and we ask it to find our location, that's how it finds our location. The satellites are sending their signals back and forth to each other and our device to figure out where we are. So Gladys's model of the Earth, which is what started the GPS creation, and it couldn't have happened without her model, it was quite different here. So she analyzed the data from the satellites that they had at the time to put together models of the Earth's shape, but we had to take into account the depths of the oceans. The first satellites couldn't figure out what was land, what was ocean, how deep things were. So the model of the Earth at that time didn't look very accurate. And Earth is best represented as an ellipsoid, which is what we can see down here, a somewhat oval sphere, not like a full round sphere like you would see on a globe, which is what we had up until that point, because the Earth is flatter at the poles, the North and South Pole, and it bulges out a little bit more at the equator. So instead of being perfectly round sphere, it's a little bit kind of like a squashed sphere, an ellipsoid. And that is what Gladys figured out for us. So Gladys West used maps to create an ellipsoid model of the Earth. We're not going to do something that intense today. We're going to use maps to make paper beads. And then you can use these paper beads either to make a bracelet, a necklace, or a keychain for yourself or a friend as a gift. So for our supplies, we'll need maps, of course, either printed from the computer. You can either use like a map direction software like Google Maps or something, or you can search for a map of your hometown or your favorite place to visit, something that's special to you. Or if you have, or your parents have an old atlas, you can always use maps from that. And I suggest getting coffee stir straws. You can kind of pick them up anywhere. They're really skinny little straws. And it's the best idea to wrap the paper around them. If you don't have that, that's okay. You can try to wrap the paper without anything in between. It just is a little harder to maintain the hole for the bead. Of course, you'll need some scissors, a pencil, glue. If you also want a ruler to have straight lines when you're tracing to cut out the beads. And then depending on what you want to do for making it into jewelry or a key ring, you would need some elastic, a key ring for a keychain, a jewelry clasp for a bracelet or necklace, and if you wanted to add any other beads in between. For our paper bead craft, we'll need some maps. We'll need glue. You can use regular white glue as well. Coffee stirrers. Tape might be helpful also to hold the paper strip onto the coffee stirrer when you start. A pencil, scissors, and if you want, also a ruler to help you be straight when you're making your beads. So the first thing you need to do is flip over your map, and you're going to draw a thin triangle that goes to the bottom of your paper. And how wide you make it here will determine how big the bead is. So you can see I've got some bigger beads here or smaller beads, depending on how big I made this triangle up at the top. So you're going to want to cut out your triangle. And also it depends how long you make it. The longer you make it, the thicker of a bead it is, because there's more paper that you're wrapping around. Let's start with a skinny one just to get an idea. So I've got my triangle here, got my coffee stirrer. I'm going to take a piece of tape and put it on my triangle and tape it to my coffee stirrer to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to wrap the paper around the straw pretty tightly. And as I go, it will get thicker in the middle since the paper is getting thinner. All right. And when I'm about close to the end, I'm going to want to put some glue on there to hold everything together. So there I've got my bead. And then I'm just going to cut off the ends of my coffee stirrer. And then I've got my paper bead with my map location on it. And I've got a spot where I can thread the elastic through so that I can make my bracelet or keychain. So as you keep going, you'll be able to make all kinds of beads. Feel free to do different sizes because then you can make a pattern, put them together. I hope that you enjoyed our matte paper beads craft and make some great keychains or jewelry for yourself or others. If you want to learn more about Gladys West and GPS, there's a couple of online resources I have here, including an interview with Gladys West from the Navy and some facts about the GPS from Science with Kids and NASA. Of course, we also have some books that involve GPS and or Gladys West. Our first one is a new one coming out very soon called Super Sheroes of Science, Advancing Technology, Women Who Led the Way. And that features many different women inventors and creators. And of course, Gladys West is right there on the covers, the second from the bottom. We also have a book called How Does GPS Work? To help explain exactly what goes on with all those satellites. And there's a fiction book, The Exact Location of Home, that uses the idea of GPS and the popular hobby geocaching, which is using GPS to find little treasures in a story. All of these titles are available at our website, www.mcl.org, for you to place a hold on and pick up at your local branch. Thanks so much for watching.